Hello, MCU fans. Today is going to be the beginning of my video series on the year-end review for 2023 as we close things down and head into 2024. So the first thing we're going to look at is 74 unanswered questions in the MCU. Yes, there are 74 major questions at least. There may be far, far more smaller ones, but at least 74 major questions starting all the way back in Phase 1 and going all the way to where we've gotten so far in Phase 5 that we need answers to. Now, let me say something up front. I want to stress, many of you, as you watch some of these questions, you may say, oh, no, I've heard that's going to be in such and such movie, or there's rumors about et cetera, et cetera. As far as I'm concerned, it is an open question, right, until we actually see it on screen. Because we know how often the rumors turn out to not be true, or a scene is even filmed, but then it's cut and we don't actually see it in the movie or the show. So a lot of these things, for those that stay up on all the scoops, you may think we know the answers, but we don't know them until we actually see them. So I just want to say that up front. But I want you to tell me whether you think I'm missing any questions or whether you think some of these questions actually have answers, etc. I love all the feedback. So without further ado, let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we do have the November contest running all month long. In fact, this is probably the last video that we'll have in November. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment. One random winner will be announced on a video in early December and can choose from one of the books or the steel books above. Also, don't forget, we do have the new member option. If you'd like to help me in my goal of doing this full time, you can see all the perks that you get. But as I always say, I appreciate everyone that supports the channel, no matter how you do it, whether it's just by liking videos, subscribing, leaving comments, etc. I appreciate it all. Thank you so much. Okay, let's dive into this. All the way back to Phase 1 with the question of, did Samuel Stearns become the leader? Of course, at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie, it sure looked like it, but we just never saw what happened, right? Well, I'm pretty sure we are going to get that answer in Captain America: Brave New World. Finally. 2008, this question was raised, and we may finally get the answer, looks like in 2025 when the movie comes out. Also, from the same movie, what happened to Betty Ross, right? She was Bruce's girlfriend, and then she's just plain gone. Well, I do believe we may see her again in Captain America: Brave New World, catch up, find out what she's been up to. That would be great. So that would knock out these two questions going all the way back to Phase 1. Then we move to Phase 2. Have we seen the last of AIM? Now, I honestly thought we might at least get a passing reference to AIM in Quantumania due to Darren Cross obviously reappearing as MODOK, but no, we didn't. So I'm going to throw out Armor Wars, because I think Armor Wars is going to be a chance for all of these various evil organizations to try to steal and use Tony's tech after he passed away. So we'll see. That's my guess. Let me know what you think. What happened to Helen Cho? Now, I know a lot of people think she died because she was very gravely injured in Avengers: Age of Ultron. But if you watch the final scene real close, you'll see her wandering through the new Avengers mansion on a tour. So I think she should reappear. She's brilliant. They could use her help. And so I'd love to see her showing up in Avengers: Kang Dynasty. That'd be a very cool nod to some of the earlier Avengers films. What about Mitchell Carson and those stolen Pym particles? Remember, he took off with Pym particles at the end of the Ant-Man movie, and we've never seen them again. And those are really valuable. That's some good tech. What on earth, right? I'm thinking, once again, Armor Wars. I think it's all going to hit the fan when all these different organizations are trying to steal Tony's tech, and maybe we're going to see that he used the Pym particles perhaps in conjunction with the armor, or maybe he bartered and sold the Pym particles to get armor. Who knows? But I think we're going to wrap some of this stuff up finally, I hope. Because supposedly Justin Hammer is going to come back, and I love Justin Hammer. So bring everybody back, please. So that's it for Phase 2. Now we move on to Phase 3 and its open questions. Will Mordo complete his quest to end all sorcerers? Remember, he was threatening to do that at the end of the Doctor Strange movie. We thought he might appear in Multiverse of Madness. Supposedly, in fact, there was a cut scene where maybe he was killed by Wanda, and that was his head in the basket that we see still in some of the scenes. But nonetheless, it was cut, so we don't know what he's up to. I would love to see him return in Doctor Strange 3 when we finally find out, whose team is he on, and is he still mad at Doctor Strange? We'll see. Will we ever see the Prowler or Scorpion appear? Please, Marvel. I want both. I really want the Prowler. He's awesome. That means Miles might be right around the corner. If so, and oh my goodness, Scorpion. Got to have Scorpion. So my hope is Spider-Man 4. It'd be great to start seeing some of these villains being actualized in that movie. Who bought Avengers Tower, right? We saw in Homecoming that it was clearly being sold. I get that, but no one has bought it so far. Now, I'm still going to stick with Fantastic Four. And yes, I know immediately people are going to start write comments right now and go, no, I've heard Fantastic Four is blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go into the rumors. And you may be right. But I still love the idea of it becoming the Baxter Building, so I'm holding out hope for that. But we'll see. We'll see. When the Fantastic Four movie comes out, it may be impossible, if some of the rumors are true, that they bought this. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Did the Grandmaster survive the revolution? Remember, he said you can't have a good revolution unless there's someone to overthrow. So what did they do with him? I hope we see him again, as well as several of the powerful figures like him in Avengers Secret War. We need all of them to come back for Secret Wars. That would be incredible. You know, High Evolutionary and the Celestials, etc. Needs to be a huge event, and it's not a big event if you don't have the Grandmaster there too, right? All right, so what is next for the Red Skull now that the Soul Stone is destroyed, right? It's gone. So he doesn't have a mission there anymore. Okay, so what do we do with him? Well, I would love to see him, as well as several villains, coming back for Avengers Secret Wars. Now, it's also possible we might get a nod to him in Captain America 4 because, you know, he is a Captain America villain. But I kind of wonder if they're just going to hold off and maybe wrap up his storyline on a Battle World type situation where we see tons of popular villains coming back. We'll see. But certainly he's got nothing to do on Vormir. He's done. So we'll see. All right, what happened to the Nova Corps and Xandar? And yes, I know the easy answer is they're all killed. I get that, but at least in the comics, their collective knowledge was stored in and became the character as Nova. So will we get a Nova series? I hope. Will we get a Nova character? Again, I hope. We'll see. But yeah, my guess is that eventually we'll see what happened to them and whether or not they helped create the superhero that in the comics is known as Nova. All right, how is Ghost getting the healing particles she needs? You remember at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, they left this situation open-ended where they were retrieving the quantum particles from the quantum realm for Ghost. That was why Ant-Man went in to begin with. And then, of course, everybody else got blipped, and he got stuck there for 5 years, and then he comes out 5 years later, and he probably wasn't thinking about whether or not Ghost needs help or not. So that's a really big open question. Did she get blipped too? And even if she did, then what did she do when she came back? Well, hopefully she'll show up in the Thunderbolts and we'll get some of that backstory on, you know, how she survived all this time and what she's doing going forward. So who was Sonny Burch working for? Remember, he had a mysterious employer in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we never learned who it was. Okay, I'm going to go with Armor Wars again because I hope this all kind of comes together and all these evil organizations end up fighting each other for the armor. It's also possible, though, that we find out it's the Kingpin. And the Kingpin is behind a lot of this, in which case Daredevil Born Again might answer the question. So let me know what you think. How would you like to see this storyline wrapped up, not just with Sonny Burch, but with a lot of these organizations? Because there are several open threads with these evil groups. All right, so did Captain America travel to a separate timeline or not? Doggone it, I just want the answer. I mean, you know my opinion from many, many videos. I think he did. But I know there's people that think he didn't. Okay, great. Just give us the answer, Marvel. And I'm hoping that we do see Chris Evans return as Captain America in Secret Wars and that they answer this question, please. I also have theorized maybe, just maybe, we'll get a special presentation down the road. Some had thought maybe there's something called Nomad, Nomad, and that maybe that will answer the question. That would be great. I would love a special presentation where he actually returns the stones. Wouldn't that be incredible? And we learn whether or not he then lived with Peggy Carter in a separate timeline or in the main timeline. For that matter, where did he get the new shield? Remember, the shield was destroyed in Endgame, and then he goes, somewhere, and then he comes back and he's got a shield. Again, there's all kinds of explanations. We can all come up with headcanon. I just want the answer. And I think this one we might get sooner than later. Maybe they'll drop a hint in Captain America Brave New World of how we got it. That would be great. Where, by the way, is old Captain America now? Where is the dude? And now if you go back and watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, in the first episode, Torres jokes about him being on the moon, right? So that's implying he's still alive, or some people believe so. And then in the first episode of She-Hulk, in that final scene where she's trying to figure out is he a virgin or not, Hulk refers to him in the present tense. Go listen to those lines really closely. So that's twice now that he's been implied to be alive. So where is he? Just tell us. Captain America Brave New World. Right? Give it to us. I don't think Chris Evans will show up, but just give us some passing reference as to what on earth he's doing. And then finally, for phase 3, what did the Kree Sleeper cell conversation mean? I'm not going to drop this until they answer this. Please, Marvel. So you almost have to turn on closed captions, but there's a line that Fury, really Talos, utters where he says that he thought the Kree Sleeper cells were a secret. So that implies there are Kree Sleeper cells on Earth. Come on, Marvel. It's been a long time. I want the answer to this question. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get it in Shang-Chi too, because there are theories that the 10 rings, the bangles, some of these items are Kang tech. Yes, I think they're Kang tech, but also that there's a Kree connection. So maybe there have been Kree Sleeper cells on the Earth for quite some time. So we'll see. I just would love to know. They may never answer this, but I'm gonna keep it on the list. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it, Marvel. All right, so now finally moving on to phase 4. What happened to the beekeeper? I know that on the list of questions, this one is not very important, but still, I'm just hoping that in Agatha's series, we get an answer. And yes, I know they have changed the title like 3 times. Supposedly that's Agatha playing tricks. I'm just going to stick with Coven of Chaos because that's my favorite title. I like it better than Darkhold Diaries. So anyway, I do know the title has changed. But anyway, I would love it if they have a passing reference to this poor dude and what happened to him. So where did White Vision head off to? Remember at the end of WandaVision, he took off looking for the answers to life, the universe, and everything, and we haven't seen him since, and that was a while ago. Well, I think we're going to see him next in the Wonder Man series. That's kind of been on again, off again, but now they're saying that Destin Daniel Cretton is going to work on it, so I think that's where we're going to see White Vision appear next. All right, so how will Agatha escape from the Scarlet Witch's spell? At the end of WandaVision, she was left being enchanted and having no idea who she even was or any of her past as Agatha. Obviously, I think that will get resolved probably in the first 5 minutes of the Agatha Coven of Chaos series, but still, we do need that answer. It should be pretty cool. Okay, so what is up with S.W.O.R.D, right? Since Haywood was arrested and Monica Rambeau left, it pretty much is in shambles. So did they just shut it down? I have no clue. I thought they would probably mention it in either Secret Invasion or at least in the Marvels, and they didn't. So hopefully Captain America Brave New World might mention it, just in a passing reference. I mean, it is a government-oriented type movie. It's going to be dealing with the president and such. Please mention S.W.O.R.D. Just one line, Marvel. Just one line. We shut it down. It was a hot mess. I don't care what the answer is, but it seems it's been replaced as they move to Saber. So cool. Give us that answer. Is Ralph Bohner Jimmy Woo's missing person? Now, for people who have been noticing some things that have been dropping online, the WandaVision Steelbook does have a deleted scene showing what certainly appears to be Ralph Bohner as the missing person, which is really cool. That means they filmed it, they just didn't use it. So I will probably take this question off the list if they don't confirm it in Agatha Coven of Chaos, because it certainly seems like that was the answer. But then again, maybe they cut that scene because they want it to be someone else, right? So I'm holding out for Agatha Coven of Chaos, but if we don't get the answer there, I'll probably take this one off the list. So who is working with the Power Broker? We saw her at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was clear that she's getting access for somebody very powerful. Could well be the Kingpin. I'm totally cool if that's who it is, because I would love to see the Kingpin kind of pulling all these pieces together. But in the meantime, I'm going to go with Armor Wars again, because I think that might be where all these evil organizations are coming together. We'll see. But maybe they'll split them up between the Kingpin and whoever is pulling the strings for Armor Wars. Very anxious to see. Should be exciting. Let me know again who you think is working with the Power Broker. So what happened to Nagel's super soldier notes? He mentions when he was blipped, they were taken. Where did they go? I mean, my guess is we're going to get that answer in Captain America Brave New World, right? They're going to use them to start up the super soldier program, or to try to. Or maybe to make some concoction and create their own, crazy abomination type creatures like they did in the first Hulk movie there. What is Val's endgame? I mean, I think we all know she's going to show up in Thunderbolts. That's been heavily promoted. I get that, but it hasn't happened yet. So again, until it happens, we don't know the answer. So I'm going to say we're going to get it in Thunderbolts, but we obviously been seeing her recruiting U.S. Agent and Yelena and very likely countless others. So very excited about Thunderbolts. Should be an awesome movie. Glad they're letting it percolate a bit, moving it into 2025 to get it right, but should be awesome when it comes out. So will Torres become the new Falcon? That was kind of hinted at in Falcon and the Winter Soldier when Falcon gave him the damaged wings, said, here, you fix this. So I'm going to bet we will see him in Captain America Brave New World as the new Falcon, and he would be great. That'll be awesome to see him again. Is there even still an Avengers team? I mean, no one came to help Sam in the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier when he was in New York. So you would think somebody would. Now, the Timeline book was really cool because it basically placed Peter Parker getting outed as Spider-Man right around the time, in fact, a little bit before the final episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So that explains why Spider-Man wasn't there, because he was hiding because everybody was after him. But where are the rest of the Avengers? So I really do hope we get that answer in Captain America Brave New World, and it kind of shows how important this movie is. I mean, this movie can kind of be like Civil War was, Avengers 2.5 kind of. I think this will be the same way. I think this will be a good bridge movie to bring in all these other characters, give us status updates on all of them. Really, really important movie. Cannot wait for this to come out. So what will Taskmaster do with her new freedom? At the end of the Black Widow movie, she kind of just takes off. Seems like she's going to hopefully start a new life, or maybe she'll turn to evil. We'll have to see, and we may get that answer in the Thunderbolts if she's still a member of that team, which at least has been rumored and was announced at one point. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I hope we at least learn what she's been up to in that movie. Will What If tie into the 616 Sacred Timeline? Now, I've done some What If videos recently, and check those out if you haven't seen them, but basically it sure seems like it is branched universes or branched timelines off of the Sacred Timeline. In fact, we have What If Season 2 coming out in less than a month. But will the characters ever show up in the main timeline, the Sacred Timeline? I kind of hope so. I hope in Secret Wars that some of these characters, at a minimum, Captain Carter, but certainly some of the others could as well. That would be really cool. In fact, maybe that's how they bring back Black Widow, right? For one movie at least. Give Scarlett Johansson a chance to play the character one more time. So we'll have to see. But my guess is that What If is going to be far more important than we may have at first thought. So make sure to check out Season 2. Should be awesome. So what was the signal coming from Shang-Chi's rings? Remember in the post-credit scene, they were saying it's a foreign signal. They don't even know where it's going to. Seems really old. So what is going on there, right? Is it tied to Kang? Is it tied to the Kree? Is it tied to something else? Really, really hope we get that answer in Shang-Chi 2. Can't imagine that we won't. It should be a great movie. I really enjoyed the first Shang-Chi movie, and a very important movie, I think, as we head into Secret Wars. What's next for the Ten Rings and Xialing? So will the group break bad? Will they be evil like when Wu's used them, or will she use them for good, or maybe a little bit of both? Now there's a rumored 10 Rings series, so I'm going to throw this out there as a possibility. I'm kind of guessing though with Marvel cutting back, we won't be getting that. So perhaps Shang-Chi 2 is where we'll learn a little bit more about what Xialing's been up to. Either way, I think we will get this answer. So what is going on with Tiamat Island, right? He was turned to stone, and that, according to the timeline book, that's in October 2024, so that pushes it a year later in the timeline. Then in mid-2025, that's when She-Hulk had that episode where they had that little article on the internet saying, what's up with this island that looks like a giant statue? But now it's time for someone to actually go there, right? And to discover what is happening there. There's rumors that he's made out of some special metals. I'll leave it at that. I think we will get the answer in either or both Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts, because I think there's going to be maybe a race, if you will, to try to discover what is this island, what is this creature, and which country is going to claim ownership over it. So very cool. Another reason why this movie is going to be amazing. So what will happen when Arishem judges the Earth? He's sure taking his sweet time, isn't he? If this movie took place, as the timeline book says, in October 2024, and we're now into 2026, boy, does this guy take years to make a decision? So yeah, we need Eternals too. And it might be one of the movies that actually takes place earlier in the timeline. For the most part, movies keep moving further and further down the timeline. I don't know. I think they need this one to at least have part of the movie take place right after the first Eternals movie. But anyway, please, Marvel, let's get a resolution on this. And I think the Celestials will play a big role in Secret Wars. So again, this is a very important movie as we head to Secret Wars. Who was the mysterious voice warning Dane Whitman at the end of Eternals? I think we all know, right? It's Blade. It has to be Blade. But still, we don't know. It is an open question. So I don't know. I really hope they answer it in Blade. There's discussions that Blade might be a period piece, so maybe it won't even tie into this post-credit scene. I don't know. But yeah, we need that answer. And why on earth was Blade interested in what Dane Whitman was up to at all? Why did he know about the Ebony Blade, etc.? And then I guess you could throw out a second question is, will Dane Whitman pick up the sword? Yes or no? What's he going to do? Now, I'm going to throw out an idea that I think would be really, really cool. I would love for this answer to appear in Moon Knight Season 2. There have been hints from Oscar Isaac for a while now that there's going to be a Season 2, and wouldn't it be cool if some of the Midnight Suns characters start appearing in that series? Because I think they need to form the Midnight Suns big time. And Dane Whitman would be an awesome character to show up there, even Blade, potentially Blade. So, I mean, Moon Knight Season 2 might be incredible if it starts hinting towards the Midnight Suns. And, make it a mature rating. Make it even more mature than the first season was. So, anyway, very cool. I'd love to see that happen. How do Star Fox and Pip the Troll end up helping the Eternals? What is up with them, basically? What's going to happen with them? Again, I hope Eternals 2 answers that. If not, they really dropped the ball, right? So, yeah, we need Eternals 2, resolve some of these plot lines, and then let the Eternals next appear probably in Secret Wars after that. All right, so what happened to Kingpin after Echo shot him? And yes, I know there will be 100 comments saying, dude, haven't you seen the trailer for Echo? I know. But until Echo comes out, we don't officially have the answer. But yeah, Echo series is looking amazing. My excitement level went way up with that trailer. I hope yours did too. Looks really, really good. All right, so how did Agent Cleary know Nick Fury was off-world, right? Remember in No Way Home, it's just kind of a stray comment to Peter Parker when he says, get a hold of Nick Fury, he knows me. And Cleary's like, he's been off-world for a year. How did he know that, right? Now, I had guessed he's a Skrull and he's working for Fury. And so I thought we would get this answer in Secret Invasion, but we didn't. So I'm going to throw out Armor Wars again, because if there's a group that needs to show up in Armor Wars, that's Damage Control, because they've pretty much got a hold, I think, of the Stark tech for now. Now, I think it's going to be stolen from them, and that's where it's going to show up with all these other evil organizations. But right now, we've seen Damage Control use the Stark tech several times, honestly. They probably got it off of Mysterio when he was killed, but we've seen it show up in Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk, etc. So, yeah, very interesting. So how will Peter Parker deal with no one knowing him? It seems like maybe not that big of a deal compared to some of these other bigger questions, but hey, to Peter Parker, that's a really big deal. How is he going to cope with this? How do you go about life when no one knows who you are? So obviously Spider-Man 4 will be they'll have to pick up on that storyline. Should be really interesting to see him become the street level hero that we've been kind of wanting him to be on his own, truly on his own. So the symbiote. Will the symbiote bond with Spider-Man? Remember, we saw it at the end of No Way Home in a little teaser. Now, I've always argued it should create an incursion. Because if the different Peter Parkers and the different villains all could have created an incursion, well, this little glop should create one too. But maybe because it's so small, and we learned from Reed Richards, the longer you're there, the greater you disrupt things. So maybe it won't for quite a while. But nonetheless, be interesting to see what happens with this. I'm going to throw out we may not get a resolution until Secret Wars, because that would be a perfect time for Spider-Man to don the black suit. So we'll have to see. I don't think this answer is coming anytime soon, but hang in there, little glop. You're going to get a roll soon. So what happened to 616 Uncle Ben? This question kind of came up at the end of No Way Home when it ended up being Aunt May that gave the great power with great responsibility line. So what did Uncle Ben do? What role did he serve in Peter's life? I would just love even a flashback or two. That would be really cool. Obviously, these are the Uncle Bens from Tobey's and Andrew's worlds. But yeah, I'd love that. Maybe in Spider-Man 4. Just kind of let us know. Bring this home with how Uncle Ben shaped Peter's life. So are any of the pre-Disney Plus TV shows still canon? And in particular, I don't mean canon to the multiverse. They are. We know that. But are they canon to the 616 sacred timeline? Now, the timeline books seem to imply no, but then, again, you have to consider, we've seen now Matt Murdock in No Way Home, Kingpin in the Hawkeye show, and, of course, Daredevil and Matt Murdock in She-Hulk. And in every single case, things lined up perfectly with the Netflix shows. So I think Daredevil Born Again is when we're going to get some real answers on how much are they trying to keep the canon the same? Are these the same characters that we saw in the Netflix shows or not? With Daredevil being many episodes, I've heard as many as 18 at different times. That's a lot of ground to cover. So I think we'll get an answer pretty solidly when his show comes out. So what will Khonshu and Jake decide to do with Moon Knight? We pretty much learned in the finale there of Moon Knight that Khonshu and Jake are the ones driving this train. Whenever they want the dirty work done, forget Steven, forget Mark. We're bringing out Jake. So, once again, I think Moon Knight 2 will be a good time for us to discover just how dark is Khonshu going to take things with Moon Knight. Did Wanda die? The obvious answer is no way. There's no way they killed her. She's too important to the stories ahead. But still, it looked like she could have died, right? She fell off the cliff, but we saw that red flash of light. That might have been her protecting herself somehow. Well, I think we'll get the answer at least hinted at in Agatha's series, and then I've heard there's going to be some follow-up series that may give us an even more firm answer, and that we may even finally get to see Scarlet Witch again. I sure hope so, obviously. I love her character. I thought she was fantastic, so I don't think she's dead. But still, right now, it doesn't look good for her, so we need that answer. Will we see Wanda's kids in 616 again? Of course, we saw them in WandaVision, but they were just, creations that she made inside her hex. And we saw them in 838, but they clearly weren't her kids. So will we get her actual kids in 616? Well, my guess is somehow this is going to get resolved in Agatha and Covenant of Chaos. It'll be very interesting to see how they handle it. They'll have to age them up because they're very, very young, obviously, in the movies and shows that they've appeared in. But yeah, Agatha Covenant of Chaos really kind of shaping up to be an important series. A lot of questions are going to be answered in this. So what is going on with Doctor Strange's third eye and Clea and that incursion? That was a big plot thread at the end of Doctor Strange 2. So clearly, we're getting a Doctor Strange 3. That is going to be a very important movie. Then will lead right into, I suspect, Secret Wars from there. Should be awesome. Will 838 Mordo seek revenge after the Illuminati were killed? They weren't just killed, they were demolished. Will Mordo seek revenge? I think we're going to see a war between 838 and 616, that he ain't going to put up with this. So maybe it doesn't happen until Secret Wars. Let me know what you think. I don't think we're going to see a lot of this stuff coming together until Secret Wars. And then if there is a Battle World type situation, yeah, I could see characters from 838, characters from Deadpool and his movies, from Toby and Andrew and all these different characters coming together. It'll be very interesting to see how they end up resolving things in Secret Wars. Next question is, what's the connection with the bangle and the 10 rings? Remember, we saw the 10 rings markings on the ground when they found the bangle, and of course they saw what looks like a Kree arm, a blue arm. So I do think we're going to get this answer in Shang Chi 2. I hope we learn a lot about all this different tech, whether it comes from Kang, the Krees, or even yet something else. Very cool, so many possibilities. So for that matter, how did Miss Marvel's bangle allow her to go back in time? Clearly it was a closed loop, kind of like some of the closed loops we saw in Loki Season 2, for the record. So what exactly is going on there? I'm hoping that we learn that answer either in Shang-Chi 2 or maybe even sooner, because I'm wondering if Kang Dynasty is going to come out before Shang-Chi 2. So my money is on the next time we see Kamala, which is hopefully Avengers Kang Dynasty, and then we may get an idea of whether this tech is indeed some form of Kang tech. And it's interesting, too, because it does not look like Kamala needs those bangles anymore to use her powers. So maybe somebody like Kang takes them back. We'll see. So what is the future for the mutants? We know that Kamala's a mutant. There's been a few other times the term mutant has arisen. I think actually Deadpool 3 may give us some real answers there. How are they going to tie in all these different X-Men universes? And, this final chance to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Halle Berry's Storm, et cetera, that may give us a hint, at least in the short term, what they're going to do with mutants. And then, of course, in Secret Wars, that's where we'll probably get the future for the team that's going to stick around as we go into Phase 7. But Deadpool 3 is going to give us some big hints to this question. So why is Damage Control going after our superheroes? In Miss Marvel, obviously they used the Stark tech to go after Miss Marvel, and we saw it again in She-Hulk. What's going on there? Armor Wars again, I think that's going to resolve so many plot threads. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all comes together. I think it's going to be a real important movie. Can't wait. Will Love join a superhero team? I mean, she's a little young. I don't know whether she would fit in the Young Avengers. It'd be pretty cool to see her hanging out with them. So I don't know if she'll actually join a team or not, but I bet we will learn some form of the answer in Thor 5, which has been pretty heavily rumored. And we need a Thor 5 because we're going to see there's several plot lines that movie has got to resolve. For example, have we seen the last of Jane Foster? Maybe they could just let her story end. I kind of wonder if somehow she'll be coming back. And again, Thor 5 would be the place for that to happen. And then what is going to happen with Hercules' vow for revenge? Zeus told him, you got to go make people fear the gods again. Okay, when's that going to happen? Well, that's the biggest reason I think we need Thor 5, and I think it's going to be a really good movie. There's so much potential for that. And Thor deserves a final movie. I think everybody knows Love and Thunder is not my favorite Marvel movie. Good movie, but just not my favorite. And so I'd love a real solid final film for Thor. So what happened with Hulk on Sakaar and his son that just shows up at the last minute in She-Hulk, kind of shoehorned in there? We need a lot more information than that, Marvel. So I do think we will see Hulk showing up in Captain America Brave New World, and we'll get a lot more information about what's going on with him. Maybe ultimately leading into a World War Hulk movie down the road. So how will She-Hulk's blood be used? Remember, her blood was stolen in the She-Hulk series, and I admit I was a little confused on whether she rewrote that part of her story. It was a little hard to tell just from the episodes what happened, but in the timeline book, they were really clear. All she rewrote was the very end of episode 8, where she went to that awards banquet and all hell broke loose, and then most of episode 9 with the Hulk King and all that silliness. So the bottom line is her blood was still stolen. So I think it's going to show up in Captain America Brave New World and be a major plot point in that movie. Will Blonsky stay at Kamar Taj? I mean, maybe. Nice and peaceful. It's better than jail. But I could also see Val offering him a spot on the Thunderbolts. Please, Marvel, that'd be so cool. Everybody loves Blonsky, right? It'd be awesome to see him actually being encouraged, allowed and encouraged to be Abomination. So very cool. Hope that happens. So when, and for that matter, where did Werewolf by Night happen? Jack and Ted, we need more details on their story. And I'm going to throw out, once again, Moon Knight. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, how stoked would you be for Moon Knight if in his series we also got Dane Whitman, Blade, Jack, Werewolf by Night, and Ted, the Man-Thing? Oh my word. I know I'm dreaming now, right? I'm dreaming, but wow, would that be must-see TV? And they make it a mature rating on top of that. Oh man. So yeah, my hope is we see them again in Moon Knight Season 2. So will Val attempt to get Wakanda's vibranium? Remember, she talked about dreaming about having that. So basically, are we looking at a war with the U.S. and Wakanda? Thunderbolts? I think we might at least get a little bit of a hint where things are going in Thunderbolts or down the road in a Black Panther 3. But I'm wondering if in Thunderbolts we're going to get some idea of what Val's really got in mind. So who stole Riri Williams' vibranium detector device? It was a small plot point, but a very important one, that thing just kind of vanished, right? I think Val's got a hold of it, and that's what she's going to use in Thunderbolts to consider at least an attack on Wakanda or to try to find vibranium elsewhere. So we'll see. Then there's the question of, will T'Challa Jr. become the next Black Panther? Of course, we were introduced to him at the end of Wakanda Forever, and it was kind of hinted that eventually he might become a Black Panther. And of course, we got Shuri, and I'm fine if Shuri is Black Panther for years to come. She's awesome. But it's true. It would be a nice way to honor Chadwick, R.I.P. Chadwick, to have T'Challa's son actually become the Black Panther at some point. So maybe down the road, maybe by Secret Wars, maybe into Phase 7, we'll get some idea at least of whether T'Challa Jr. will become Black Panther. So finally, that gets us out of Phase 4. Boy, there's a ton of open questions from Phase 4, right? And we move into Phase 5. So did Kang die at the end of Quantumania? I don't think so. I don't think there's any way they killed him off. I think he was sucked into that multiversal core, and I think he will become Beyonder Kang, maybe one of the reasons that the battle world is created, because his goal, remember, in Quantumania was to kill off all the Kangs, because he can't stand them, and all the multiversal trouble they were causing. Well, what perfect way to do it than for him now with Beyonder-like powers to wipe out the rest of the multiverse and create Battleworld. I mean, it really works perfect if you think about it. So I think that's where we'll get the answer of whether or not he died. Did something go wrong for Scott at the end of Quantumania? I've had so many people suggest this. I thought I've got to put this question in. I don't think so. I think he's just, worried of did we really defeat Kang or not? But the look on his face, and look at the guy over his left shoulder staring at him. If you watch the ending, the epilogue, tons of people are staring at him strangely. So there's been theories he went to a different universe, theories that people think he's dead and now he's back, and just all kinds of crazy stuff, which is cool. It may be true. So I'm going to bet that we will see Ant-Man again in Avengers Kang Dynasty, and we'll finally get this answer. I mean, maybe he is in a different universe, in which case we won't see him in Avengers Kang Dynasty. But yeah, hopefully we get this answer of why was it so weird and funky at the end of Quantumania. So, speaking of Quantumania, what does the Kang Council plan to do? They said they're beginning to touch the multiverse. We're running, let's not waste any more time. Let's get involved, right? So what are they going to do? Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to show up in Kang Dynasty, right? Maybe even before, but I kind of doubt it. I kind of think we're not going to see Kang for a little while, and let some of the other storylines that Phase 4 set up, because boy, did it set up a ton, let some of those get resolved in the rest of Phase 5. But by Phase 6, yeah, we're gonna see these Kangs get involved, and it's gonna be a throwdown, big time. So will Star-Lord join the Avengers? So at the end of Guardians 3, he ends up on Earth. I think it'd be really cool if he joined the Avengers. In fact, wouldn't it be cool if he joined them in Avengers Kang Dynasty? Give me that. Give me Star-Lord hanging with the Avengers. That would be very, very cool. Love it. How long has Rhodey been a Skrull? That's a big question that came out of Secret Invasion, right? I personally think it was only since he came back from the blip, he was replaced after Endgame. But the bottom line is, it is an open question. So theoretically, Armor Wars, right? That's maybe going to be his next appearance. Potentially Captain America 4, but I kind of wonder if we won't see him again until Armor Wars. So will Gaia retain all her powers? I mean, right now she's pretty much the most powerful superhero in the universe. But my guess is that was temporary, that it wears off somehow. We'll see. But we do need that answer, because I'm telling you what, if she does have all her powers, they better call on her for Kang Dynasty, right? That would be very helpful to have somebody that OP. But my guess is no, she's turned back normal again. She's just a Skrull and just off helping in England get things done, working with a Falsworth. So what will become of Ritson's edict? Remember at the end of Secret Invasion, he said, I want you off my planet. I'm going to kill every one of you, referring to aliens. Of course, my planet, like he owns the planet. But nonetheless, still, he had a big throwdown edict. I think we're going to see some of the ramifications of that in Captain America Brave New World. So will Asgard go to war with the U.S.? I mean, we just said that, Ritson said, I want all the aliens gone. We'll kill you all on sight. Asgardians are aliens, technically. And I'll just leave it at Valkyrie's done a couple things to maybe further instigate some issues between New Asgard and America. I'm being a little ambiguous in case you haven't seen the Marvels yet. But let's just say things got amped up a little bit between the U.S. and New Asgard. So I think in Captain America Brave New World, there needs to be some mention of how the U.S. and New Asgard are getting along, or maybe not getting along. Also, will Thor and Variant Loki ever meet again? Obviously, at the end of Loki Season 2, he's kind of stuck where he's at for a little while, but I do think by the time Secret Wars rolls around, they will find a way to bring these two back together. There have been a lot of rumors that it's going to happen. I mean, obviously, as a fandom, we want it to happen big time. So Feige will deliver, for sure. Will the TVA be able to handle all the Kangs? At the end of Loki Season 2, it was implied that they know where all the variants are, but the variants don't know where they are. They've got it under control. They made it kind of sound like everything's okay. I don't think it's okay. I think the Kang Council is somewhere that they can't find them, in the same way that He Who Remains was outside of time and space. I think the main Kang Council and that Citadel are somewhere the TVA can't find them yet, but I do think that the Kangs are coming. So no, I don't think the TVA is going to be able to handle them all. They might get some stray ones, but not the main Kang Council. So we'll see them in Kang Dynasty. What did Ravonna see in the void? At the end of Loki Season 2, she saw something. I mean, it could be Eliath. That's the easiest answer. But considering we saw a pyramid and a sphinx over in the corner, is that maybe a hint that this is one of the Kangs? Maybe Pharaoh Ramatut showing up? Because if you turn on closed captioning, it said there was a metal sound, which is interesting. So yeah, I hope we do get this answer in Avengers Kang Dynasty. It would be cool to see Ravonna show up there. So when will the Young Avengers form? I'm going to be careful on how I talk about this because, again, I'm trying to avoid any spoilers in case people haven't seen some things. But bottom line, there have been hints for a while that we're going to get a Young Avengers team. So, yeah, it's happening. There is no way around it. It is absolutely happening. I think it'll be a Disney Plus show. I don't think it'll be a movie because a lot of the actors and actresses are young. They aren't big draws maybe to the cinema, and Marvel struggled a little bit to get people to head to the cinema. I don't understand why. I love going to see movies, but in the theaters. But nonetheless, I do think we'll get a Disney Plus show for Young Avengers sooner than later. And where did Monica end up? Again, I'm trying to avoid any spoilers for the Marvels, so let's just say that she's not, she's gone. We'll just leave it at that. So where did she end up? Well, I think we'll find that answer in Secret Wars. I don't think it's going to be revealed for a while. I think she's out of pocket for a while, but when Battle World gets formed, I think then that's when she'll reappear as well as lots of other people. We'll leave it at that. I'm just trying to be careful because I know not everybody has seen the Marvels yet. So those are our 74 questions. But believe it or not, there are a few questions from last year's video that did get answered. So Marvel is knocking some off the list at least. So really quickly, Guardians did a great job. It addressed several issues. What's going on with Adam Warlock and the Sovereign? That was from Guardians 2. That was left as a cliffhanger. We got that answer in Guardians 3. We were asked the question, who made Rocket Raccoon and why? That was really all the way back to Guardians 1. We wondered this. We got that answer in Guardians 3. What was next for the new Ravagers team that we saw at the end of Guardians 2? Well, we did see them in Guardians 3. Where did 2024 Gamora end up, right? She vanishes at the end of Endgame, so that was a big open question. Of course, we saw her in Guardians 3, got that answered. What was Nick Fury doing in space, right? We saw him in Far From Home, up there in the space station, didn't even know what it was called. Now we know that it's Saber, and we really got that answer in both Secret Invasion and in the Marvels, but especially in Secret Invasion. How long has Talos been pretending to be Nick Fury? That was a question that came up after Far From Home, and we got that answered in Secret Invasion. Who else are the Skrulls impersonating? Well, I'm not necessarily saying this was a satisfying answer, but we did get it answered in Secret Invasion. Now, I'll throw out there's the possibility there may still be a few other Skrulls impersonating folks, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, we as far as Marvel's concerned, they have answered the question, so I'm going to knock this one off the list. And then there was a question at the end of WandaVision of where did Monica Rambeau go, right? The Skrull was saying he wants you up there. Well, of course, we got that answer in the Marvels. Then Loki Season 1 raised a bunch of questions that got answered in Season 2 and then raised even more questions. But anyway, Loki Season 1 left us wondering who was in control of the TVA. Well, we got that answer. It's Loki, right, in Season 2. It also left the question of where will Kang pop up after He Who Remains was killed? And we got that answer in Quantum Mania. But of course, now we need to know where that Kang Council is going to show up. So a lot of these times we get something answered and then it raises yet another question. But nonetheless, we did get this answered, where Kang next appeared. Where did Ravonna go at the end of Season 1? Well, we learned that in Loki Season 2. But of course, now we need to know where she went at the end of Season 2. So they knock one off the list, they add one more. And then, of course, an easy one answered was why did Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel switch places? That was a cliffhanger at the end of the Miss Marvel TV show. And, of course, we got that answered in the Marvels. So now let's wrap up with a summary of where things stand. So we have 2 open questions from Phase 1, 3 from Phase 2, 12 from Phase 3, 44 from Phase 4. Oh, my. 13 from Phase 5, and a total of 74 open questions. But the good news is, all of these do seem to have answers on the horizon because if we look at where the answers are projected to come, notice that Captain America Brave New World, 13 projected answers, at least my guess is at least, we'll get 13 of our questions answered. That followed immediately by Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty at 10 and 8. Then we have Armor Wars and Thunderbolts and Covenant Chaos, all having pretty big numbers, 7, 6, and 5. Then the next series is a bunch of the follow-ups, right? Spider-Man 4, Shang Chi 2, Thor 5, Moon Knight Season 2, Eternals 2, Doctor Strange 3, all of them with 3 or 2 questions being answered. And then finally, a lot of movies with just, one open item, but still going to be helpful to have them answered. Fantastic Four, Nova, Wonder Man, 10 Rings, if we get that. Echo, Daredevil Born Again, Blade, Young Avengers, and Deadpool 3, giving us again that total of 74 open questions. So that's good news. I do think everything has the potential to be answered. Of course, then they'll give us more, but that's fine. I don't mind open questions. Probably 74 is a bit much, but yeah, it's nice to see that we may get these sooner than later. So there you go. Now we await for the next entries to arrive, starting in Phase 5 with, of course, Echo. Knocking at least one off the list, right? So very exciting. Don't forget, we do have the November contest. Just be a subscriber and leave a comment, and you may win a book or steelbook. And of course, we have the membership option if you're interested in that. And I always like to remind, we do have a Discord server. There's over 1,000 members now talking about, well, everything. I mean, even whether Spooderman and Power Rangers are now officially part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So everything you can imagine is being discussed. I will leave a pinned comment so that you can join the server if you're interested. Love to have you. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.